Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Dakbo Adigboye. The top stories at this hour. Nigeria's House of Representatives invites Lokbobiri, Ekbo and Yari over fuel scarcity. Islamic State commander with U.S. bounty killed in Mali. Magistrates threaten to down tools over pay gap in South Africa. Details in a moment. Let's begin by telling you that the Nigerian government has declared Wednesday, that's May 1st, as a public holiday in commemoration of Workers' Day. This was announced in a press statement signed by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Aishatu Ndayoko, on Tuesday. According to the statement, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, conveyed the declaration emphasizing the importance of excellence, efficiency and fairness in labor. Tunji-Ojo reiterated President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration dedication to fostering innovation, productivity and inclusivity in workplaces. Away from that, several Nigerian youth groups staged a peaceful protest in the capital today in a show of solidarity with the former Kogi State Governor, Yaya Bello. The groups, including the Yoruba Youth Council and the Northern Youth Assembly of Nigeria, are calling for due process in the corruption case against the former governor. The protesters alleged that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's accusations against Bello are politically motivated. They urged the National Assembly and Attorney General to intervene and ensure the case follows proper legal procedures. The youth groups claim many Nigerians were initially unaware of the legal complexities surrounding the case, suggesting Bello was previously shielded by law. The groups also called on the federal government to cease what they termed the political victimization of Yaya Bello.
Saying His Excellency Alhaji Yaya Adola Bello is above the law. Yaya Adola Bello is not above the law. We don't want politics to be part of it. If you want to call on Yaya Bello, you know where Yaya Bello lives. Write an invitation letter and give to Yaya Bello. We are calling on the Senate President. We are calling on the Senate President, Nigerian Senate President, in the person of Dr. Godwin Akpabio. Again, and we are calling on the Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. And again, we are also calling on the AGF, Attorney General of the Federation. So today, what you are here because of, we are here to talk on behalf of Nigerian youth. We don't want intimidation. We don't want politics indeed. We want, if you want to accuse, is that if you know you have evidence of what you have against Yaya Bello, come to Yaya Bello's house, go to his residence, serve him letter, he will come. He's a leader, he knows.
The former governor of Kogi State, His Excellency, former governor Yaya Bello, who is a youth, we are calling on the federal government of Nigeria that the political victimization on Yaya Bello is too much. The EFCC should respect court order. They should what? They should respect court order. Is it a crime? We know, we are not saying Yaya Bello is above the law. Nobody is above the law. But what we are saying is they should respect the legal action. They should respect the law of the country.
Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by partner Fotis and Lutz, a legal practitioner, Okiki Adeniran. Thank you for joining me. Now, let's talk about your immediate reaction. Great. Now, your immediate reaction, of course, to this protest, and does the public outcry from youth groups, such as what you just saw a while ago, regarding the due process, have any legal bearing, on the case?
I believe that the outcry, the public outcry, does not have any legal bearing. As a matter of fact, the proper way of having a protest or having a public gathering is to have a clearance by the police force. As it is, you will see that these youths gathered in front of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's office. And in fact, I'm very sure that it would have probably cost a protest, but maybe traffic or any other thing, or even delayed some people in going about the business of the day. this public outcry, cannot and will not solve issues. The proper way to do things, if you have anything, like you said, it's a legal way. You need to approach the court, or you need to, probably file a petition or write a letter to appropriate authorities. Not that you are on the road and causing issues around everywhere and delaying people from going through what they're supposed to go through for the day. So I believe that this public outcry cannot do anything. It will not solve any issue. As a matter of fact, I believe that what they've done today is breach of security. You cannot be on the road protesting without anybody giving you clearance or anybody ensuring that you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do on the road. As it is, you cannot say, you can't, even though that probably it was managed, anyone could have taken the number of the protest and issues could have come out of these protests.
Now, let's consider the potential consequences, for this prosecution case. If the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, for instance, is found to have not followed due process investigating Yahaya Bello. I mean, if you go back to that video, part of what those youths were requesting for is some sort of legal invitation, which the FCC actually did say that it was, served.
I believe that this protest is just, these youths playing to the gallery. I'm very sure that this protest was just a political organized protest, and I'm saying this because you would not, see this normally on a normal day. The person we're talking about has been alleged to have, embezzled some funds, and there are fraud allegations against this person. And a group of people have come out to say, follow due process. They have not even stated that this is what the EFCC is supposed to do. From the public, speech that the chairman of EFCC, delivered, it's like six days ago, was said that things were done properly. They invited him. In fact, the chairman of EFCC put a call through to him to invite him to EFCC, but he declined. And I'm sad that youth like this are coming out to say this instead of probably supporting what EFCC is doing. And this is the problem we have in Nigeria. We have a fraud allegation against a political office holder, and certain persons believe that because they are loyal to that person, they should support the person. The law is the law. Whatever that should happen, whatever step that should be taken, and if it needs to be prosecuted and taken to court, yes, let it be done. It should not be that certain people will then come out and start saying that, oh, this is what has happened. They should not prosecute. They should go through the normal way. They should respect the rule of law. The rule of law has been respected and obeyed. The EFCC sent him an invitation, but he did not show up. So I believe that as it is.
I mean, I just wanted to interject there to just ask you. I mean, if, for instance, you are the legal counsel to the former governor of Kogi State in person of Yahaya Bello, what would be your legal advice with all of this drama happening? Specifically,
I would advise the former governor to obey obey what has been said, respond to the invitation. As a matter of fact, as a legal counsel, I'll be there to support him and to be at the EFCC's office and let him know what he's supposed to do. You declining an invitation is not a proper way. You need to go there, go and speak to allegations. They are mere allegations. They have not said, oh, you have done this and we're going to put you in prison. As a matter of fact, what the order of court says was that do not threaten, do not arrest, and what has been done is invitation. Invitation is different from an arrest.
All right, now let's look beyond this specific case. How important is upholding due process and maintaining public trust, particularly within the Nigerian legal system? Maybe in cases where should agencies like the EFCC, not maybe jump some procedures, the process of maybe an individual being invited or not being treated fairly by such an agency?
Well, due process should be followed, right? Due process should be followed. In the case like this, the first thing that should be done is, for an invitation to be sent to the person. And like you said, if due process is being followed, it means that the public will ensure that they will trust the process. They will trust that if even if it is someone who is not in power, probably a politician, they can be sure that this is the process that will get the person into the Office of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and also the steps that they can take to be bailed. So I believe that following due process is the right thing. However, when due process has been followed, there's no need for us to, inject politics into it, and by evading, invitations and ensuring that, the due process has been followed is not, is being frustrated.
All right. Thank you so much for your time on the news. Okikia Deniran, partner at Fotis and Lot Legal Services. Once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, the immediate past governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in person of Godwin Emefiele on Monday, challenged the jurisdiction of an Ikeja Special Offences Court to try him on charges made against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He was arraigned by the Anti-Graft Agency for alleged abuse of office and multi-billion-dollar fraud. Olalekan Ojo appeared for Emefiele, while Kazeem Gbadamosi appeared for his co-defendant, Harry Isioma Omoli. Now, Ojo asked Justice Rahman Oshodi that the court lacked the necessary legal foundation to hear the charges against his client. But counsel for the EFCC, Rotimi Oyedepo, opposed Emefiele's contentions, urging the court to dismiss the defense application as it was a course to delay justice.
The first defendant, that is the former CBN governor, filed an application challenging the jurisdiction of the court, that is High Court of Lagos State, to try the charges against him, particularly the charges in counts 1 to 4, which relate to alleged abuse of office by the former CBN governor while he was in office. We were humbly of the view that a jurisdictional challenge of that nature, which was not a challenge to the validity of the charge or information, should be determined first.
The House of Representatives has passed a resolution to invite the Minister for State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokobiri, and his counterpart for the gas sector, that's ECHO, over the fuel scarcity being experienced in the country. The Green Chamber also summoned the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, over petrol shortages in the country. This followed a motion of urgent national importance by a member of the House, Omar Ajola, raising concerns over lingering queues at petrol stations nationwide. Now, the House expects the ministers and the NNPCL boss to explain the true reason for the scarcity and the measures being put in place to bring it to an end. No date has been set for the engagement. The Senate has resumed plenary after 6 weeks of recess in the newly renovated hallowed chamber, opened for 2 years after the reconstruction began. Shortly after a regular announcement by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, a heated argument ensued between some ranking members over seating arrangements. 3 senators engaged in heated arguments. Danjuma Goje, a 4-time ranking senator representing Gombe Central, and Shahabi Yao, a senator representing Zamfara North, expressed displeasure over the back seats assigned to them and complained to the majority leader, that's Okpeyemi Bamidele. According to the standing rule of the upper legislative chamber, senators sit according to ranking, but the arrangement aggravated or aggrieved senators fell short of their expectations.
For the common good of all. Throughout history, the spirit of cooperation has brought about tremendous progress. Let us pool our resources, our talents, our ideas, whilst respecting our differences and convictions of conscience. At the same time, let us not forget those trapped in the cycle of poverty. Our fight against poverty and hunger must be total and relentless, addressing its root causes and restoring dignity to the marginalized. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and many fellow Nigerians are working tirelessly to tackle this issue of poverty. It is our duty to support and amplify their efforts. So we must all collectively across party lines support the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. I'm very confident that as senators, we are making a difference, and we can even make more difference. We have been entrusted with an important role.
Let's take you back to a story we indeed told you about earlier concerning the full scarcity situation in the country, where key officers within the oil and gas sector have been invited by the Green Chamber to explain the reasons why. Well, joining me to shed more light on this is a chartered accountant, Akin Faton. Akin, thank you for joining me.
A pleasure to join you, my brother, and good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening. Let me first start by asking, blanket statement, how have you been able to cope with the current situation? Have you been able to, get access to fuel? And I mean, if at all, how much?
Terrible, ugly. Well, I've been in that space before, and by that I mean I've been in the industry. I spent the better part of my working career in oil and gas. So I've seen the good, I've seen the bad. So was that good? Okay, well, maybe good at one point in time when deregulation was supposed to be deregulation, where we had super, we had, special and all that. And prices were different and life was good until we decided that we are going to align. My experience, therefore, is that this movie that I've seen before has gone much more ugly. We have learned nothing, we've forgotten nothing, like a bunch of fans. For me, even at my level, I still find it difficult, not extremely very difficult, to get fuel. At what price did you say? That is the big question. The black market price, yes, if I don't want to get on a queue, is that what I will show as a yardstick of my being a Nigerian and having worked in that industry for all this while, that money, all what we have said. I think it's a shame.
All right.
We've seen failures.
I mean, it seems to be a recurring issue. We've seen it happen, just like you said, time and time again. I remember yesterday, coming back from work, black market, just like you mentioned, a 5-liter keg was going for about 6,000. But my question is this. Initially, or let's go down memory lane. Initially, Nigerians thought, okay, you know what, maybe it's a policy issue. Then the idea of deregulation came about. Okay, still a policy issue. Let's stop what you call subsidies. Hopefully, that would make the product available. But here again, we are the same problem. This time around, even deeper. What exactly do you suspect to be the fundamental reasons for this recurring challenge, time and time again?
Truth, T-R-U-T-H, the ability to tell ourselves the honest truth that we have not run that industry the way we needed to have run it. We have run it aground. We have not been producing. We have stolen the infrastructures we had not planned. We deliberately planned to fail because we wanted a few people to continue to smile to the bank. So what are we trying to do? In fairness, unless, of course, we fix the pricing problem, what we call appropriate pricing problem, which in itself, becomes a yo-yo. You try to get the appropriate pricing, it's not going to sit down well with the vast majority of labor. And of course, it has a ratchet effect, as we say in economics, effect over so many other areas. The dollars went kaput. And for 8 years, or more than 8 years, we've been running around what I call the cowboys that were in the industry. We know them, government knew them, and they have despoiled us. They don't turn around maintenance. They keep on lying upon lying and telling us deep lies, taking equity, about 25% equity when they have run our own refinery aground. And those refineries, as we speak, are sitting on a bed of oil. Hey, I tell you, it is not a good place to be. So if you did not plant yesterday and you expect that you are going to now begin to reap today, you either have to steal, kill, maim, or become insatiable. That's exactly what we are seeing. Whether it's the National Assembly, whether the presidency, whether it's the politics and the political actors who are hovering around the place, saying one thing this morning and doing the complete opposite the next morning. NNPC, despite the fact that it's now a PLC, has not operated opaquely in a way and manner that can engender what I can call trust.
That's a deep one. Now, talking about NNPC, we know that the Green Chamber, talking about the House of Representatives, has passed a resolution to actually invite the top officers, public officers, that is, within the oil and gas sector. Do you think this meeting, should it happen, would sort of produce anything tangible?
I don't know why you're asking me that question, but it's a very beautiful question you have asked, I dare say. I have been asked to come to the Green and the Red Chamber, virtually the better portion of my career. The 2012 subsidy removal or not, I want to say that we are not serious. We know what the problems are, and all what we are just trying to do is let us be seen to be doing something. I remember during my time, Mrs. Madueke, as Minister of Petroleum at that time, appeared just like Odogai Tinubu came and quite a number of other people. We all got there, and it was all the same talk, without going to the roots. The roots is the fact that we are not serious as a nation. And in seriousness, okay, I dare say when President Bola Tinubu came and said, well, subsidy is gone here and there, perhaps a positive statement, but poorly implemented by not showing the kind of example that needs to carry people along. How are you going to? I don't want to go back into what the NNPCL has done, the swaps, things, so many opaqueness. We are not being told the truth. And right now, it's unfortunate, the same lie that I've had in the past close to about 20, 25 years is still being told. It's logistics. If it's logistics, the logistics is saying that, well, it will soon be resolved. Right. And then if the people are coming out and telling you it is going to be in 2 weeks, who is in charge?
All right, Akin, I'm sorry, but we need to go. Thank you so much for making our time to be on the news. Deeply appreciated.
I think we are not yet out. That sector is in a mess, terrible mess.
All right, Akin, thank you so much once again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Akin Faton, chartered accountant, joining me on discussing, of course, issues surrounding the fuel scarcity in Nigeria. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we have more stories. Stay with us. Nigeria's federal government is set to embark on a series of town hall meetings as part of its engagement with citizens to get a first-hand view of their current challenges and a view to addressing them. This was revealed by the Minister of Information and National Orientation as he met with representatives of the National Orientation Agency in Abuja. News Central's Amadine Uyi tells us more.
The team met with the Minister of Information and National Orientation, updating the ministry on initiatives and dialogues embarked by the National Orientation Agency with Nigerians and communities at the grassroots.
Going to our communities, we fetch the information, their grievances, what they expect of the government, and we take it back to the federal government level through the NPAs, and we relate the issues of delivery back to the people. And then we take communication from the top and take it down, breaking it down in indigenous languages and various forms of communication. Basically, that's what we're here to build synergy between the ministry, because we can't work in silos. We are community engagement, we can hear feedback. We also want to take the feedback from the federal government down to the communities to also hear their own views about what we're doing, so that we can all collaborate and have a better impact.
The minister commended them for their efforts, saying that there is a need to build trust with the Nigerian populace.
You cannot build trust when you tell people what they know to be obviously not true. It is the idea of this administration, particularly this ministry, to build trust that we think has actually gone away between the Nigerian public and their leaders. Once that trust is lost, it becomes very difficult for government to communicate honestly and responsibly.
He says that the ministry has already concluded plans to embark on a series of town hall meetings to get first-hand information from citizens as part of efforts to get their true situation and respond to their plight.
Very soon, the national communications team will go to other parts of the country to engage with Nigerians, to tell them what government is doing, to relate to them the programs and activities of government in a way that they will understand, and to also take feedback from them. If there are areas where they don't feel comfortable, we bring this feedback to government. And Mr. President is a listening president. Here is the president that always has the interest of Nigerians at heart. Whenever there is a policy that he feels needs to be changed, the president will change it.
The minister pledged to work with the agency to help fulfill their obligations to government. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
In a move aimed at showcasing Nigeria as an investment destination for investors, business owners, and captain of industry from Nigeria, Belgium, and Luxembourg converged in Lagos to deepen trade and investment relations and also find possible areas of collaboration. Now, News Central's business correspondent, Perpetual Fasimi Peter, was there and filed in this report.
This strategic gathering deepened trade and investment relations among participants, fostering a platform for exploring promising areas of collaboration.
If you do not have an entity that organizes the table and brings partners together, it will just die a dream. And that is how we now, as a chamber, came in to try to organize that table, initiate and activate some, business to business, but also government to business interactions.
On a more business-to-business level, we welcome here in Lagos in late January a very self-organized compact trade mission of 8 Belgian companies around Vinke, specialized in waste solution, renewable energy generation, water treatment, and food storage and processing. Many more of them find their way to Nigeria.
For many here, this was an opportunity to meet and speak with other business owners from Belgium, Luxembourg, and Nigeria, share their experiences, and foster new partnerships and business relations.
Nigeria is a target country, and we try to put our expertise here to different stakeholders, authorities, but also private companies. There are a lot of opportunities because you are a growing country. That means that your ports and your logistics have to be prepared to import, but also export all the cargo.
A networking event like the one that is organized tonight is an ideal opportunity to get into contact with the right people, with the representatives of companies that can assist you in further developing your business.
The NGX being a platform provider using technology to ensure that corporates are able to raise capital. We are always present at events of this nature to just encourage companies to utilize our platform to raise capital.
This reception served as a springboard for businesses from Nigeria, Belgium, and Luxembourg to collaborate on key areas for business and economic growth. In Lagos, for News Central, Perpetual Fasimi Peter.
Mali says a senior Islamic State commander who had a $5 million bounty on his head has been killed by a force including troops from Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. Now, Abu, whose farm, who has been linked to several high-profile raids in the Sahel region. This includes a 2017 attack which killed 4 American soldiers and several troops from Niger. The terrorist, who was also known as Higo, was described by the report on Mali's state TV as a Moroccan national and a commander in IS self-styled Sahel province. It said it was killed on Sunday in an operation in the northern town of Indamani in the Menaka region, describing it as a victory against the bane of evil. In Southern Africa, the remains of 45 Botswana nationals who perished in the horrific bus crash in Limpopo, South Africa over Easter are set to be airlifted to Botswana. The bus, which was traveling from Botswana to an Easter pilgrims in Limpopo, caught fire and burnt to ashes, killing 45 persons. The sole survivor of the accident is an 8-year-old, since recovering from home after spending days in the hospital. For the past weeks, authorities have been working hard to identify the victims, with some bodies burnt beyond recognition. Magistrates in South Africa have threatened to go on strike over the judicial pay gap between magistrates and judges. According to the association representing 800 magistrates, says its members want the pay gap to be closed. For the past years, magistrates have not received any increment. According to the Association of Regional Magistrates of South Africa, the association emphasized that their roles and duties have been changed since 2008, and for that, they will also be suing the Commission and the President. South African cancer patients activists, together with health workers, have taken to the streets of Johannesburg, demanding the Department of Health to spend the 784 million rand set aside by Gauteng Treasury in March 2023 to outsource radiation oncology services for over 3,000 patients who are currently on the backlog list. The cancer crisis in Gauteng is driven by severe shortages of both operational radiation oncology equipment and staff within the public sector. Now, News Central's Bogani Sizba has more.
A powerful coalition of voices coming together, united in a common cause to demand action from the Department of Health. Most of these patients are currently on a backlog for radiation oncology services, facing the uncertainty of when cancer will consume them due to the lack of adequate health care.
I've been advocating for the lives that's been caused by the Department of Health. Currently, there are around 784 million rand that is allocated for cancer patient treatment, but it's unused. And so today we are standing in solidarity. We are advocating for change and for action, for transparency and accountability from the Department of Health.
This entire demonstration is a result of a conversation that has happened for over 4 years. The initial conversation happened in 2020, where nothing has been done. An allocation has been made to treat cancer patients. Yet, until today, we have not seen that allocation put to use.
Over 3,000 patients waiting each day brings them closer to the unknown. Their plea is simple: access to timely health care that could make all the difference.
They need to give us treatment when it comes to cancer, because many of us are waiting for long. We've been there on the waiting list for a very long period of time, waiting to get cancer treatment. Especially when it comes to me, I can simply say that I had 3 reoccurrences. My cancer came back 3 times, if I can put so. And I'm still waiting for radiation still. I was diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer 2020 September. To today, I'm still waiting to receive radiation. I'm living on chemo day to day. And all they say to us is that there's a backlog. Even if Treasury did take out some money, 784 million, for them to push the backlog, but still, they refuse to give us that treatment.
I'm here to be a voice for not just myself, but other cancer patients who have been waiting for radiation for years, months, more than a year, like myself. to fight for our rights for cancer treatment, much needed cancer treatment.
They later handed over their memorandum of demands. The fight for accessible and timely health care for all cancer patients continues. Their voices united in a call for action and accountability.
4 years since the initial correspondence on this issue was sent to your office, and still the patients we advocate for are no better off.
What we need to, I think, thoroughly highlight is the fact that what the colleagues have raised now is the issue of there seems to be sort of the communication between ourselves as a department and the civil society organization is something that probably needs to be improved. I don't think there's any one of us who does not acknowledge the fact that there is a need to move with urgency.
In the face of adversity, these brave individuals stand united, reminding each other the power of community and the importance of fighting for justice and equality in healthcare. In Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
Still ahead, Israel wants a Rafah offensive with or without truce deal. Details of this and more after the break. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened that the military would launch a ground offensive on Gaza's far southern Rafah city with or without a truce deal being negotiated with Hamas. The Prime Minister issued the warning despite strong concerns raised by the top ally Washington and hours before U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was set to arrive in Israel on his latest Middle East crisis tour. The Prime Minister's comments comes as Hamas was weighing the latest plan for a truce proposed in Cairo talks with U.S., Egypt, and Qatari mediators that had raised cautious hopes for an end to the fighting.
אנחנו ניכנס לרפיח כי אין לנו ברירה אחרת. אנחנו נשמיד את גדודי החמאס שם, אנחנו נשלים את כל יעדי המלחמה, כולל השבת כל חטופינו.
Now, the head of the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees says $267 million in its funding was still suspended over allegations some UNRWA staff participated in the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. The accusations in January led to many donors freezing some $450 million in funding at a time when Gaza's 2.3 million people are in dire need of food, water, shelter, and medicine. Many countries have since resumed their donations, while others have not, including the United States, which passed a law blocking funding until at least March 2025. Switzerland is due to take a decision on whether to resume support on Wednesday.
That once the allegations have been made public, up to 16 countries suspended the contribution to the agency. The good news is that as of today, most of the donor countries have resumed their contribution to the agency. We just have a handful of a country who still need to take a decision. How much funding is still suspended to the agency? The estimated, when we say suspended, it's money we were aware, which was committed, and which remained suspended for the agency. The total amount is $267 million US dollar. The bulk of it comes from the US.
In business, residents of Harare are encountering difficulties in accessing foreign currency through banks, leading them to resort to the black market. This situation has caused frustration as many essential transactions, such as rent and fuel, are priced exclusively in US dollars. During an appearance on the Business Edge show, Dr. Prosper Chitimbara, a developmental economist, shared his insights on how the government can tackle the issue of landlords only accepting USD for rent, while salaries are partially paid in local currency, and the government departments also demanding payments in dollars for their services.
My own thinking is that it must be a market-determined process that is actually based on the attainment of key benchmarks, including the reduction in the inflation rate. Of course, government has already said that in terms of the payment of taxes by companies, 50% is going to be paid in the local currency. And my view is that I think that's an important step. But of course, with time, I think we should begin to see more and more government services, including even the fuel actually being sold in ZIG. But it must not be an abrupt process or a government decree process. I think it must be a market-determined process that is actually based on the attainment of these important benchmarks or milestones, such as the reduction of inflation. So government must actually not decree de-dollarization, because if that happens, then I think that's going to erode even the little modicum of confidence within the economy. Of course, Zimbabwe, we've suffered fuel challenges in the past on account of distortions within the fuel sector pricing regime. So I think government is mindful of those potentialities. So I think that's why there's this understanding that we need a gradual approach, but that is actually based on a market process and not necessarily for government to decree that every service is now being sold.
The World Economic Forum brought together 1,000 global leaders and experts to address rising geopolitical tensions and promote a more stable, sustainable and inclusive future. Under the patronage of Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, the Special Meeting on Global Collaboration, Growth and Energy for Development 2024 convened. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with business leaders including Bill Gates, Samsung and Mossack. Olufemi Oladeyin of the Argentine Capital Partners shared insights on the president's speech on the Business Edge show.
President Bola Tinubu continues to tout some of the policy decisions that were taken last year. But I think it's only fair that whilst he takes credit for those policy issues, he should also take credit for the implications of those policy issues. Removal of fuel subsidy, well, partial removal of fuel subsidy, in reality, and the relaxation of the forex market were positive, but they had a backlash. There was a concomitant implication towards those, and it's important that when he talks about that he also highlights those concomitant implications, and then tell people what plans they have to be able to help economies like in Africa and Nigeria to recover from the implications of those reforms. Look, reforms are always going to be painful, but people must also see a clear pathway towards the benefits of those reforms. And I think in highlighting the importance of global support for a country like Nigeria, I think President Tinubu did the right thing in telling the world that, look, Nigeria is open for business, and it's important that the world continues to provide support to us as an economy. But look, at the end of the day, there are human.
Let's roll over to sports, where the Ondo State Commissioner for Sports and Youth Development, Saka Yusuf Ogunleye, has appointed a former team manager of Sunshine Star, Gabriel Aboroa, as Sunshine Star's technical director. Also, former Sunshine Star head coach Henry Abiodun has been appointed as technical consultant to the Sunshine Stars. The commissioner directed both appointees to join the technical team set up earlier to reposition both Sunshine Stars and Queens. Following Bayelsa United's 2-1 win over Rivers United, Sunshine Stars dropped to the 18th position on the NPFL table. Staying in sports, a former Spain boss, Vicente del Bosque, has been appointed to head a new committee that will supervise the country's football federation. The Spanish government announced last week that a special committee would be appointed until the federation holds elections to replace Luis Rubiales. Rubiales, the federation's former president, was arrested on April 3rd as part of a corruption investigation. Rubiales faces a separate trial for coercion and sexual assault, which he denies for kissing Jenny Hermoso after Spain won the Women's World Cup in Australia in 2023. Del Busqui led Spain's men to their first World Cup victory in 2010 and followed that up with European Championship success in 2012. Iga Swiatek bounced back from dropping the first set to defeat Brazilian Brites Haddad Maia on Tuesday and make the Madrid Open semi-finals. The world number one, who lost last year's final, found a rhythm in the second set and ultimately eased to a 4-6, 6-0 and 6-2 victory. The Pole will face either American Madison Keys or Tunisia's 8th seed for a place in the final. Swiatek is bidding for a third WTA 1000 title of the season after triumphs in Qatar and at Indian Wells, and 9th in total. And that's a wrap on the news at this time. But before we go, another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Nigeria's House of Representatives have invited Lokobiri, Ekpo and Kyari over fuel scarcity. Islamic State commander with U.S. bounty has been killed in Mali. And finally, we also told you that magistrates threatened to down tools over pay gap in South Africa. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live across these platforms. That's DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. And thanks for watching. I'm Dakbo Adigboyi. Bye for now.